Hey everyone, welcome to this live show. Already Tuesday, man. I can't believe how the weeks go, and it's just incredible that we're already back for our Tuesday live show. So this is live tech show number 41, as we are now, of course, continuing to answer questions from the viewers. We're August 23rd, 2016. This is, of course, our live show every week, every Tuesday, 3 p.m. We answer your tech question. It doesn't have to be about Windows. It doesn't have to be about, PCs. It could be about anything that has to do with technology. So, I mean, your Internet of Things, and we have questions today for that. Your Mac, your PC, your, electronic toaster that just doesn't work. I don't know, anything. And of course, we try to answer to the best of our knowledge. Where do we send the questions? The email that's here, helpwithyourcomputers@gmail.com is the place to be. I only answer questions here. I know that some people have been posting questions on this section of comments just below the video. I am not actively watching that, so I don't see the questions there. Maybe I'll include in the next shows some of the questions there, but if you really want to be sure that I will be there, this is where to go. And I want to thank everybody for being here, as we are every Tuesdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, even though I have monetization by YouTube and everything, it ain't enough, and I need help. So Patreon is my new way of actually getting revenue. You know what? Patreon is a great website. It was created by two people that posted a video, a music video that they made, and they had millions of views. And then they kind of understood that even though you had millions of views on YouTube, it doesn't pay much. And so they were thinking, what can we do? So they founded Patreon, and that I am happy to be part of. So patreon.com/radio-and-computers is the address, the URL that you go to. You will see my page. I have a little video explaining what I do. And basically what you can do there is give me a amount of money that is going to be every month, for example. So you sign in, you say, hey, I'm going to give you 1 penny or $1 or $10 or whatever for every live show that I do. I will charge. So I'll post the link in the description of the live show, and I will click the payment button. So what happens is, if you give me $1 per live show, and I do 10 shows in a month, then you will be charged $10. If you give me 50 cents, well, you'll be charged $5. So it starts at 1 penny, goes all the way up to whatever amount you want. The idea here is not to charge too much to people, but have as many people as possible that give a little tiny amount that will make something interesting that I can use to buy new equipment, to continue on doing these live shows, and have you guys help you guys with that if possible. So patreon.com/radio and computers. Why radio and computers? Because I share the videos of both my radio channel that has live shows, computers with this Windows live show, with this tech show, and also the Learn the Tech show later on today. You can also, if you don't want to subscribe to a thing like that, and by the way, if you do subscribe, very easy to just get out anytime you want, no problem, and it's the easy thing to do. PayPal, you can send donations from PayPal on that email address you see at the bottom also. That helps me. So if you don't want to subscribe or do anything here on Patreon, you have a PayPal account, you want to send a little, a few bucks, just send it to PayPal at my Yahoo address that you see here at the bottom. And I want to thank everybody that has pledged right now. You are a few that have pledged. There's a few patrons that are pledging also. I want to thank everybody that does that. Really, really helps me. And hopefully we can have a great time with our live shows. So let's continue on and start with the questions today. So let's see here. Our first questions. The first one, actually, the first questions come from Margaret. Margaret is in the UK, and she says that she has a few questions that she wants answered because it's not clear. First, she wants to know, what is this Internet of Things I hear about? So, Margaret, Internet of Things means any connected device that's not a computer or a smartphone. It's just kind of a plain little device that is there. And it could be anything from a smart doorbell, and actually you have a question on that, a smart, any type of little device that does something particular, a surveillance camera, anything. These are all little electronic gadgets that don't fall in the category of being computers and that connect to the internet for various reasons. So it comes to the second question that you asked, that is, I have a home that has been visited by robbers, and you say that you'd like to secure your home, and you've actually heard about something called a Ring Video Doorbell, and you were wondering if I knew a little bit about it and how does it work? Is it something nice? You know what? The only reason I know that what you're talking about is because I watch a network called the Twit Network, and they have shows where they advertise the Ring Video Doorbell. And actually, Leo Laporte of the network does use the Ring Video Doorbell himself. Look, I've not tested the device. I have not tried it. But from what I see, and of course, these are ads, but from what I see, it is kind of nice, especially, you know what, if I had my own house, I would probably have a couple of them. What's cool about the Ring Video Doorbell for protecting your home is the fact that it does help kind of make a presence, even though you're not there. Because what happens is that the device itself can be used, and basically the device itself can be in general used to kind of pretend that you're there. So you have the video from the camera, first of all, on your device. You have a warning when somebody shows up at your door. You can actually interact with that person, tell them, oh, well, I can't go to the door right now, I'm in the bathtub or something, just to make pretend that you're home. So it does lower the amount of probably of robberies and stuff like that by kind of helping maintain or giving an idea that you might be always at home, basically. And finally, you say, what is a Raspberry Pi? You've seen that and you were wondering. Raspberry Pi is technically a small little piece of equipment. It's kind of a small computer, very inexpensive computer. What it does is it lets you create all sorts of little electronic gadgets and gizmos. So basically, you can use it and create your own little device, your own. For example, you could use a Raspberry Pi to create a security system for your home. You could use it to teach young or anybody to code. You can use it to program. You can use it also to do various tasks. I saw one example where somebody did a huge display of LEDs that would have all sorts of colors and would do different patterns from the Raspberry Pi. So it's a small computer, a very inexpensive small computer that can be used to do all sorts of little experiments. And I got a lot of people that actually enjoy using such a device. And it seems that it's one of the cool devices that a lot of people enjoy having while you, if you are a little geeky, I think that's pretty cool. It can go on the internet. It can do a lot of stuff. So it's pretty cool. By the way, I just want to mention to everybody, if the video goes dark for a few seconds from time to time, It is kind of normal. I don't know if I fixed it with my own little tweaking, but this is today. The 2 shows I'm doing today are the last shows that are going to be done via Hangouts on the Windows channel. So starting next Tuesday, I will be on the YouTube Live platform. For you, what does it mean? Nothing much. It doesn't change anything. For me, what it means is I need to test it because it's kind of a little complicated to set up properly. I mean, it's not impossible to set up, but to have it working right, it requires a little more tweaking. You know, Hangouts, live Hangouts on the air were cool because no tweaking. You just, start a Hangout. Everything is just managed through that. It's pretty cool for that. But YouTube Live is a little more complex. But so if the video goes dark, don't worry. It comes back usually after 15, 20 seconds. Actually, in the last show, it happened. And I could see on YouTube when you watch the show, the recorded show, there are little 10 to 15 seconds periods where there's a dark screen goes black and then it comes back. So I'm sorry for that, but it should be fixed with YouTube Live, basically. So what else do we have? What else do we have? Thank you for that information, by the way. There's Kel Bugger that says Windows 10 releasing an update just now. So it's possible. I know that there's a cumulative update that is anytime to appear. So, of course, I'll be talking about that. If you guys want to know what it contains and what it does, I am going to take a look at that update. And thank you for the information, my friend. We'll take a look at that later on today in a video to help everybody understand. So let's go now to our next question. Android questions. And questions coming from, saw you here. So Android questions coming from Mark in the state of Washington in the United States. He says, I love your show. I really appreciate all you do. And here are a few questions that I have. I got a Galaxy S7 phone. Now, when I do stuff, usually everything works fine on the internet when I'm connected through my LTE connection. But as soon as I connect to Wi-Fi, nothing works. I can't go on the web, or it's very, very slow. Apps don't update, and so on. Anything about that? Is there a problem with my phone? Here's the thing. I got the same exact problem on my Galaxy S7 phone, okay? This is a common issue, and I've read a lot of posts about it. There's supposed to be a fix eventually on the updates. What you need to do is, okay, you drop down the menu, you drop down from the top to go into the settings. From the settings wheel on the upper right, you'll go into Wi-Fi. And when it's connected to Wi-Fi, you press and hold on your connection. It will appear another little menu. So you press and hold on your connection, and you click Forget Network. Once you've done that, you'll see the list of networks. Click again on your connection and re-enter your password and connect. It is a common issue, but I know that when you do that, it fixes it for a little while. But you might have to do it from time to time. Last time I did it was about 2 weeks ago. Since then, it seemed to be working. Next time it does it, I go back to my Wi-Fi connections and just remove. It is a bug. It is a bug in the device, and very, very common on the Galaxy S7. So that's one thing. Then you also say that you've installed a few games that you enjoy playing. And the question that comes is, where do I stop game notifications? I don't want to know when it's my turn in a game, or know what update of this game, or that I need to do this or that. Is there a way to stop game notifications? Yes. Once again, drop-down menu like I just shown you. Again, go into the settings on the upper right and go down to notifications. In the notifications, you will have all of the apps that have notifications, and you'll have little switches. Now, I don't recommend turning off totally notifications. You don't want that, because there are apps and there are some features that you might want to have the notifications. For example, I haven't turned it on for Facebook Messenger because I want to know when somebody wants to chat with me. So turn it off to all the apps that you don't want. Just keep it on to only the ones that you wish notifications will appear. And everything will be fixed, and you won't be annoyed with that again on your device. And by the way, if you're watching live, tell me what you think. I love my Galaxy S7 phone. It's a pretty cool phone. And you've got a last question. You've hesitated between an iPhone and a Galaxy S7 phone. You bought the Galaxy S7 phone because you watched me on a video talking about it and how I was moving away from iPhone. So your main question is, what's the main difference between iOS and Android? Okay. First, it's interesting to note that you've bought your or chose the Galaxy S7 because of what I was saying about it. I actually love mine. I don't regret for a second. It's an amazing phone, and I actually enjoy this much more than my iPhone I had before. Now, the main differences between Android and iOS, okay, it's two operating systems. It's like Windows and Mac. The main difference is that iOS is a very closed system made by Apple. So you can't do anything else except go through the store to get stuff. Okay, you can jailbreak. Some people will say that, yeah, but jailbreaking an iPhone isn't necessarily the best idea in the world. I've noticed that jailbreaking iPhone often makes it crash more often. So it's more of a closed system made by Apple. Now, that said, it's the most popular platform for apps, so it has more apps than Android does. There will be apps that exist on iPhone that don't on Android. The reverse is true, and Android is really catching up. Android is a little bit like Windows. It's an open operating system. It is something that you can pretty much do and install whatever you want. So you can not only go to the Play Store, but if you have a specific app or special app, it's not available through the store, but you got it on a website, you can actually install the package, and it's going to work in your phone. So the Android operating system is more open. You can do what you want. It's open to a point that you install whatever you want. On the iPhone, you can't. You have really to go through the iOS, the App Store from Apple, and so on. So it's the main differences. For the rest, I would say that the iPhone's operating system, iOS, is maybe a little easier to understand for people that aren't very tech savvy. Android's a little more complex to understand some of the stuff. Even I have problems and need to search for guides on doing certain things sometimes, because I'm just like, wow, how do I do that? It's just a different way of working. It's not that it's that difficult, but it's a different way of working, different gestures. So it kind of is something that's not always easy to understand. But you know what? It's still both operating system, both iOS and Android are great operating system. Android has really matured. Now you have S7, so like me, you have Marshmallow 6.0 probably 0.1 or something. So Android 6 is a much better operating system. You know, I've used, first time I used Android was Android 2.2. And I got to say, they've really made things better. One of the things, though, that I did do on my Galaxy S7 is remove as much of the Samsung crap as possible and replace it with a more Android-like experience with the what's it called? The Google experience. basically with the Smart Manager. Basically, I've installed the Google experience, and I find it more interesting than using the Samsung stuff on my device. I got to say that. Battery life's great, by the way, at least as good as the iPhone. So that's also a great thing. The OLED screen is beautiful. So it's beautiful, but it's, you know, pretty cool, and love the device. So hope that you enjoyed this little iOS versus Android stuff. So apparently there are a little bit of a stutter on the video and audio, so I hope it's not too bad for everybody. And yes, I'm having a little. This is a rum given to me by a friend of mine. So it's like a 7-Up in rum and ice. So slowly slip on this. Not bad at all. It's a spiced rum. It's not bad at all. And thanks for everything. Thanks, Tim, for letting me know when there's little things going wrong. And take care, my friend. It's nice to have you on board, even briefly. Okay. What else do we have here? We have a few questions. One coming from Satyanarayana Nanapaneni. Sorry for that little something of your name. I hope you're not, I didn't mess it up too much. So NS Narayan, as you say here. So, okay. The question that he has is about the upgrade process. And it's saying that I upgraded the system using Express settings. So recommended settings, Express settings. I am in confusion whether I prefer recommended option or keep mod by marking no button, where it is explained that your system might not work as expected. I go for recommended option, shall pre-install device drivers, apps from third-party manufacturers will totally deleted. Please look below, pasted image. Okay, yeah, here's the thing. Do you want, it shows me, do you want to automatically download manufacturer's apps or custom icons available on your device? Yes, recommended. No, your device does not work as expected. Here's the thing. There's a lot of devices that actually have a recommended settings when you want to up, even Windows, when you install it, has its express or recommended settings. Now, the thing is, the difference between manual and recommended is two things. Recommended in some case, and in your computer, that could be the case. There are some specific drivers or apps that will be downloaded and installed because some hardware might need to have a little something. Some hardware might need to have a specific driver and a app that will drive it because it works better like that. So that's the thing about recommended setting. In the manual settings, you usually decide what you want to have. So you'll choose what you want. It won't automatically install the stuff on your computer. It will ask you if you want it or not. Sometimes it won't even ask you if you want it or not. But the thing is, you need to, check it out. Recommended settings, you know what? For most people, I always say choose recommended. It is easy. It's the way that usually everything works fine and it's set up already. Manual settings is more for somebody that knows what he's doing because you'll be able to go through the different little settings there and have more of a personal install if you want. But some computers have specific software. For example, my Toshiba has very low audio if I don't install the specific software that came with it. there's some kind of boost in the software that they have with the audio driver, something that's not there when you just have the audio driver. So thanks for your question. We've got Ben that says, is Windows 10 recommended settings really that bad for privacy? What do you think? When you choose recommended or express settings, you let Microsoft turn on every little detail, including all the details of the Microsoft, having the telemetry of everything going to Microsoft. Personally, I don't care. I do firmly believe that even though we're not there and we don't see it, okay, that we got to say, I don't know what they're doing exactly with that telemetry. I think it's the Electronic Frontier Foundation last week. It says, you know what? Don't you think you're gathering a lot of info on your Windows 10 operating system? And basically, the recommended settings means that everything on privacy is turned on. Is that good or bad? It depends on your own take on it. I sincerely believe that they're not doing anything bad with it. What they do is simply gather information about the general usage and try to fix or tweak Windows the best they can with that. That said, we don't know what they're doing exactly with it. And it's supposed to be anonymous. So it's supposed to be encrypted anonymous, meaning they don't know who or where it comes from. It's just basic information. If you leave the telemetry totally open, from what I've seen is there are cases where, yeah, some personal info might be included in there. For example, a error message, and you keep the telemetry at maximum, error message might want to have a memory dump. Say in that memory, that RAM memory, in that dump, there's some viewable, things that you are doing that you don't want anybody to know. Yeah, it's possible that it's going to be seen by somebody over there, even though they don't know. They can't really attach it to you, except if that string of memory characters contains something that links you personally, an email, for example, or something like that, or an IP address. You can turn off a lot of the privacy settings in Windows 10. The first thing that I would say, because some people, tell me, how can I really shut off the maximum amount of info? Instead of using a Microsoft account, change your account for a local account. That will lower by more than 60% everything that's sent to Microsoft. And then, you know what? You've got the privacy stuff on the notifications on the bottom right. If you go into all settings, you have a privacy tab. That privacy tab contains all of the privacy options you can turn on or off. You also have the telemetry being sent when Windows crashes. You can lower that. And there are a few videos that I've posted, and there are going to be more because I'm looking at this with system settings right now, panel in my videos. In a few days to a few weeks, you'll have more on the privacy settings and what they mean. So you'll be able to decide, do you want to lower the privacy settings or not? That will be the thing. Okay, other question that I have here is from Misha. Misha says, I am using Windows 10 with a local account. I've been using Edge, and I have some settings and some favorites. I've got a second computer, and settings for Edge are not syncing. Is there something wrong with the sync capabilities? It's not that something is wrong with the sync capabilities. It's that they can't sync if you're using a local account in Windows 10. To sync settings, to sync your favorites, your bookmarks, whatever, you need to be in a Microsoft account, because it's through the Microsoft account that this happens. Some people say, yeah, but why do they do it with Microsoft account? Look, if you're in Google Chrome and you want to have your bookmarks sent to every computer, you got to have a Gmail account. You got to have a Google account. It's the way it works. Okay, they link all of that information through OneDrive and everything. So you need to change that local account to a Microsoft account. So all you have to do is go into the settings, into the user accounts, and you'll see that you can change for a Microsoft account. That's the way that it's gonna actually sync. Okay, some more information here. Let's check it out. First of all, there's Stephen Mail that says Microsoft Edge gives us an honest evaluation. It says, I've used Microsoft Edge as my main browser since anniversary update on August 2nd. One of the reasons that I started using this was that in Internet Explorer 11, having what it seemed was a lot of errors reading pages, page not responding, including my bank site. I also wanted to give Edge a fair chance before I use a different default browser. One thing that was that Edge finally having extensions like the other browser. Downloaded 4 extensions, which I thought could be helpful. AdBlock List, Translator, LastPass, and OneNote Web Clipper. OneNote Web Clipper does not work on any of my 4 computers running Windows 10. It doesn't here too. Although the AdBlock Plus works, it does not block as well as IE 11 or Firefox. The LastPass works well along with the Translator app. This browser is quite fast when it is not giving me an error message, page not responding, as much as Internet Explorer 11. Another thing is example, let's say I'm on YouTube and I want to click on go to Facebook. I get a message that YouTube is not responding after a split second. I'm trying to go to a new page, so why is that message even there? I, of course, imported all my favorites from IE. I can only access the favorites the favorite bar. If I want to actually look at other bookmarks, I have to click on the Hub tab. I have folders on my favorites and so on. Yeah. Functionally, when I have folders, you can not right-click in the folders to move or delete. Once again, you have to click on the Hub button. The functionality has improved since the original version, but I find this browser still incomplete. There is also no way to go to the new tab that you just clicked on, as in every other browser. I also think that they should keep this browser updated a lot better than they have. If they would fix some of the minor issues, I wouldn't hesitate to use as default browser. Also, pinning tabs does not always work. Why is Edge not available for other Windows operating systems? Here's the thing. First of all, I got my own observations of Microsoft Edge before and after the update. I use Edge 80% of the time. The only times I don't use Microsoft Edge is for specific tasks. Hangouts. Hangouts doesn't work without being in Google Chrome or Firefox or Internet Explorer. It doesn't work in Edge. Also, there are some glitches. I have seen the same problems that you have that weren't there before the anniversary update. Like the error message that says that, page not responding or so on when I want to change from a site to another site. That is something that is new. It wasn't there before the anniversary update. And I don't understand why it does that. There's something that they broke in the anniversary update. And I gotta say, it annoys me just enough that I'm about to go back to Google Chrome full time, because that's my main browser. As for the different options, they've tweaked the options. One of the things that you should do for sure is to send through the feedback hub every little detail of what you don't like. Send them in the feedback hub your own ideas of what you do with Edge, what you would like to see. That could change the future of Edge. Now, like I've just got notification that there's an update. Well, that fixed some of the things of Edge, but even Paul Thurrott on his website, on his blog, mentioned how he found that Microsoft Edge is actually worse than it was before, and so he stopped using it. And you know what? It's sad because I was a big user and I was loving Microsoft Edge, but now I'm starting to think I'm going to use something else. And actually, I want to post a specific video talking about this issue. There's also the tabs thing that's very complicated. And to answer your question, why is Microsoft Edge not on other versions of Windows? Very simple. They don't want you to use another version of Windows. Microsoft has set its sight on Windows 10. They are annoyed that Windows 7 still has such a high usage. So you know what? They won't do Edge for any other browsers, any other versions of Windows, sorry. It's just because they don't care about the older versions of Windows. They want you to move on. So Edge is a Windows 10 product, will stay a Windows 10 product. And it will not go to any other Windows operating system. As for Internet Explorer 11, I got to say I don't use it. I haven't used Internet Explorer much in a long time, and it seems to be problematic in Windows 10 because I have a lot of clients that were doing specific tasks with Internet Explorer 11, and they call me up and say, "Hey, I got Windows 10 now, and this or this page doesn't work well in the anniversary or in Windows 10." And that is something that I've seen a lot. I've seen that come to their computers, and I finish by letting them know, well, use Google Chrome or use Firefox, and just don't use Internet Explorer 11. And I can't now, with the anniversary update, I surely can't say use Edge. Not a good idea. And finally, I've got a question from Steve that says, I have a little question here. I've been watching some of your videos. You seem to be using Edge, but I've seen you use other browsers. Is there a browser that you use more than any other? Well, until now it was Edge. I would say it was the dominating browser for me. Problem is, with the problems I'm getting with Edge lately, since the anniversary update, I don't want to use it really anymore, unless they fix it. And it's sad because I do like Edge. I do think it's a good browser. Browser is Google Chrome. I don't like Firefox. I've never really liked Firefox much. I was an Internet Explorer user for a long time. I stopped Internet Explorer usage on version 6 when it was so crappy that it was like one of the most horrible browsers that existed in the world. 7 was bad. 8 was okay. 9, 10 improved. 11 was actually good for the most part, but it's kind of broken in the Windows 10 operating system for some reason. So my browser is Google Chrome. I like using it. It does have still part of the problem that a lot of people have, kind of a runaway process in memory. But still, I like Google Chrome a lot. I like the syncing capabilities with my Gmail account and all. Overall, I use Google Chrome in general. Thanks for your questions. Okay, let's move on to question from Sandra. Sandra C. She says, "Hey, Jill, just to let you know that I've installed the anniversary computers and I've had no problems at all. I really feel that the press has blown this so-called problem of updating way out of proportion." So, you know what? The has created a negative vibe, and you know what? The BBC World Service. I was listening to the BBC World Service. They had a news. They have a NewsHour show, that was talking about how Windows 10 broke webcams, and then how Windows 10 forces everybody to upgrade or do the updates and so on. I've seen a lot of articles on Forbes, on Computer World, on pretty much every tech website that exists that do paint a very negative side to Windows 10 anniversary update. And basically, the thing is, I got to repeat it. If people don't believe, people post on my channel like, yeah, you're a fanboy, you won't say that Microsoft has problems, or you delete, you've deleted posts of people having problems. The only post I delete is when they have the F word in it, because I don't accept language like that on my channel. Apart from that, if your comment is, yeah, and look at my channel, there are tons of people with negative comments and problems that they have, and it is a big update. It's a really huge install, and basically it will create problems in that we can't deny. I ain't denying there are some problems in Windows 10. But I am saying, and it is something that is actually something that there's proof when you look at the blogs. People come back to me and say, hey, look at this, 112 messages of people going crazy with problems. Yeah, but when Windows 10 came out, that same blog had 2,500 messages of people having problems. That means if you look at the sheer number of who has problems in the anniversary update are much, much fewer than when people upgraded their machines to Windows 10 last year. So the thing is, yes, there are issues, but it's a very small number of people that have these issues. It doesn't change the fact that if you got a problem with the anniversary update, you're mad as hell. But there are a lot of issues that are user created also, and that I want to stress out some of the specific things that users have sometimes. As a tech guy, I can tell you over the 16 years that I've doing some tech guy stuff, there are a certain number of users that are into problems because they are just of the way they do things. They are into problems because of their own usage. So bad press, yes, I think too much. Are there problems? Of course, there's a small portion of people that are experiencing issues. Now, there are a few things that I've posted. The webcam issue is another part of where there are some problems. But you know what? I think it's not that bad. And I do think that the news is blowing everything out of proportion. And I don't agree with anyone that says we should be able to install updates when we wish to have them. I will say no to that, except for one little exception. You know what? I think, and I have sent that comment to Microsoft on the Feedback Hub. Regular security updates, yeah, it's fine. Install. You need that. You need to be secure on your PC. But when there are really big updates like the anniversary one, why not give a certain amount of time to people to decide when they want to apply that? I mean, if you haven't gone up to anniversary update, you still get updates. Security updates are there for the 15.11 version. So maybe on a really big update, like for example, the next Redstone 2 update, maybe it's not that bad an idea to just have on that update a little switch that says, okay, don't want it now. I'll tell you when I want it. And maybe they give you, I don't know, 3 months. 3 months to update. And it's going to give the time to have cumulative updates that might fix some issues, and you're going to be safe. That could be a good idea. No delay on the regular updates for security, but on the big updates like anniversary, why not put a little switch that says, well, okay, I don't want it right now. I'm going to wait because it's such a big update. Maybe you want to wait. So thanks for your comments, Sandra. Nice to have everybody commenting here. Okay, what else do we have? Let's continue on. And Stephen Mail, once again, it says, I did what you suggested. I turned on the gateway computer and turned off, tried a couple of times, but would not turn off. I guess I should be glad it still works. Computer is the same room with my cable modem, yet the Wi-Fi signal only gets around 12, where my other gateway computers running Vista always gets 13 to 15. My plug-in connection is getting 16 to 16.5, which is what is promised from CenturyLink, paying for 20 megabits. Both gateway computers are using a Panda wireless adapter. Why is there such a difference? The speed at which your computer goes on the internet is dependent on a lot of things. One of the things that you need to know is a connected computer. Cable modem directly connected with Ethernet cable is always the fastest you'll ever get, because it is simply connected directly. Now, once you go on Wi-Fi, there are differences. There are a few things that are happening. Now, in the best of circumstances, Wi-Fi should have the same speed as your connected 420 megabits. But one thing you need to know is that, first of all, distance from the router, the type of Wi-Fi adapter. Your computer can slow down the connection also. Say you're using an older computer that isn't as fast in its internal workings as older technology. Might actually slow down what you see in speed because it just can't handle the full speed. Anything, interference from other neighbors with their own Wi-Fi, stuff like that. Also, be careful with tests. Tests of speed can vary due to the internet service provider. For example, if you want to do a test, you're saying that the connection at 16.5 connected, try it 10 times and give it maybe a delay of 2 or 3 minutes between each test. Do it 10 times and you'll see that it's possible that 16.5 will change sometimes. It could be a little higher, it could be slower. It is dependent on your ISP, your internet service provider, which is not always consistent. I don't know what you say. It's I'm just going to check it out here. Cable modem. So you're on cable. Remember that cable also has another issue. You are connected with the whole little neighborhood here. So for example, I got 60 megabits, 30 megabits, sorry, 30 megabits down. In ideal conditions, I get 30 megabits. But in some other conditions, I do not have 30 megabits. It all depends. And by the way, if there's a little bit of issues on the video, I just noticed I forgot to plug in my Ethernet cable, which is always what I use to do live streams to make the video more consistent. So I'm sorry, totally forgot that. Hope that the video holds up and is not too bad. So, all sorts of issues will cause this to happen. And the best thing that you can do is try to, there's a website called fast.com. Go here and check out your speed at fast.com. Now, this one you see is slow because this computer, the adapter is in the back of the desktop. So this is very slow right now. And also I'm streaming live video. But this is fast.com is a good place to check it out. It's sponsored by Netflix because a lot of people were complaining about the speeds of the internet. So Wi-Fi will vary, and it doesn't take much. Think about the fact that it's radio waves, and that just a little change in position can make a world of difference in the speed of your connection. Second, I also wanted to ask you why so many people are running Windows 7, did not upgrade to Windows 10 for free. What percentage do you think upgraded from Windows 7 to 8.1? Why are still over 10% of Windows users still using XP, which came out 15 years ago? The majority of people that don't upgrade is very simple. People don't like change. That's something obvious. People do not like change. People do not want to change their little habits on their computers. You know, as a tech guy, I can tell you that people are very, 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 very scared of anything that is a little different in their computer. So I would say that the majority of Windows 7 users did not bother to upgrade because they just didn't want to deal with the change. You upgraded because you are more advanced than the average user. Just by what you're telling me, trying to install Linux, reinstalled Windows so many times, you're a tech enthusiast. You love playing around with it, trying out different things, and you know how to do it. Even if your knowledge is not complete and sometimes there's problems, it's not that bad. You're actually pretty good, and the majority of people are not there. So you are wondering why, because you can do it and you knew you could go back. People aren't sure if they could do it, even though it was quite easy to do in itself. Most people weren't really sure if they could do it, and know how to go back if that happens. So it's a very, very complex issue. As for the percentage of people from Windows 7 that moved to Windows 10, not a lot. I'd say I don't think there are more than 10% of Windows 7 users that moved up to Windows 10. And if we look at the stats of Windows 7 and Windows, when Windows 10 was released on July 29th of last year, and the percentage of users on Windows 7 today, there isn't a 10% difference, not even. So you know what? I would think there are very few people that actually did go to Windows 10 from Windows 7. A lot of the Windows 8 users went to Windows 10 because it was kind of logical. Windows 8 users, I personally, except for very, very specific items like maybe a touch tablet or something like that, there were not really any reasons not to upgrade to Windows 10 from Windows 8 from my perspective. And since it does resemble, because there's still the tiles with the store and everything, people on Windows 8 probably were less, you know, they found that it was less of a problem to go to Windows 10 that resembled Windows 8. And for a lot of Windows 8 users, it would fix something, which is the start menu, missing start menu that a lot of people didn't like. But you know what? The main reason why people didn't change is mostly because people are scared of change. They're just really, really, fixed to one way of working, and they're scared of anything that's going to be different from that. And you say you've been watching the Computer Chronicles, and if anyone wants to, have a good evening of entertainment of very old technology, guys, check it out. It's on YouTube. Everything is there on YouTube. You can go to Computer Chronicles and check out episodes. I just love it, like going back in Computer Chronicles episodes of the 80s, see the technology back then. So I was saying, here is Steve is saying the most interesting thing I saw was a phone that actually turned into a computer. I think the basic problem was they never give enough time to any of their guests. Yeah, in 1 hour, there's so much you can do and say. Like you say, try explaining Windows 95, 98, or XP in 2 or 3 minutes. So it says back in 96, a person I was working with told me I would never need anything more than a 486. Yeah, that's true. That is so true. I remember my first hard drive, which was a 20 megabyte hard drive on a PC XT computer. It was 20, it was 32 megabytes. It was a huge hard drive. It was a big thing. It was like, this big compared to today's very small drives. And I remember the first time that I fired this up was like, wow, got so much space. I'll never use all of that. Until a year and a half later, 32 megs of 32 megs. Did I say gigs? It's not gigs. 32 megs, 32 megabytes of disk space wasn't enough anymore. So it's just funny when you think about it. So also what he's saying is I have also at this point to stick with Internet Explorer 11 until Microsoft Edge is updated and works better. So and he's using Pale Moon on his Vista machine, which works well. Cool. Okay. Update. Tried to go back to Internet Explorer 11, but it's not working very well, so I stick with Edge a little while longer. Got used to certain things. We'll see with the update if it actually fixes things. Hopefully, because hopefully it will. Okay. Once again, you're watching the Live Tech Show. This is from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. My name is Gilles. I'm a tech guy. This show is every Tuesdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 1900 hours Universal Time. For 90 minutes, we answer your questions. You have to send them through email. Remember, Patreon. If you want to be a patron, help me continue with these live shows. Patreon.com/radioandcomputers. You can also send a PayPal donation at the email address here at the bottom. And that helps me continue and hopefully continue for years to come creating these live shows. So I want to thank everybody for their support. It's very much appreciated. Okay, let's go now to Linux questions. Linux questions, which is coming to me from Patrick. Patrick says, I've got several computers at home, and what I'd like to do is transform a few of them into Linux machines. Now, I love Windows. I love Windows 10. I also have 2 MacBook Pros, one running the latest version of OS 10. Here are a few questions. What distro of Linux should I be using? That's a question of personal preferences. I enjoy, I like Linux Mint for its kind of, stripped down slightly operating system. It works well. It's pretty fast. Ubuntu is another one. Ubuntu is a good distro. It is a little bloated, but it has everything you need. It's quite easy to use. Right now on my laptop, my Linux laptop, I'm using one that's called CentOS, C-E-N-T-O-S. Very bare bones, but it works well. It does the job for what you want. Basically, you know what? It all comes down to what type of interface you like on the Linux distro. It's mostly that, because the Linux base, all distros are, there's a core of Linux. On top of it, they put a graphical user interface environment that works in a certain way to give you, the interface that you have on your screen. Some are better than others, and it all depends on what you want. I would say for a Windows user that's kind of used to Windows, or Mac user, Ubuntu is pretty cool because it really resembles in many ways, and the packages are easy to install. Another thing that might decide for you what distro also is the machines you're using, and some distros might not work well on some machines. For example, my laptop, my Linux laptop with CentOS I can't have the latest version of Ubuntu working on it. It doesn't want to. The last version did work. The new version doesn't. So that also could be something that will give you an idea. Question number 2, is Linux much different than Windows? Yes. Simple answer, yes, but not, like I said, not by that much, depending on the distro you're using. Like I said, the Ubuntu is a close. The way that Ubuntu works isn't that much different from Windows. It got a start button. It's got like it does resemble, even though it's underneath something else. So you can try it out. And you know what? You got a Mac, you got a Windows machine. If you slowly go through the Linux operating system, I don't think you're going to find that it's that difficult. The most difficult part of these are installing software or drivers. That's kind of complex. But apart from that, just for using a computer, they're not that bad, actually. They're not that difficult to use. And the last question that you've got is, you've got 2 MacBook Pros, and you're wondering if you can install a Linux distro on a MacBook Pro that you have. Yes, there are some distros for MacBook computers. One is Linux Mint is rather good at working on MacBook Pros that I know. So there's a few things that you might want to use with that. So Linux Mint could be one. Fedora, the latest version of Fedora works well. So Fedora, that seems to work really well on MacBook Pros. So these are things that you can try for. And for your last question, would you be able to dual boot macOS and Linux? I don't know. I've never tried or seen anyone do it. So will it work? Will you be able to dual boot? I don't know. I'm not really sure if yes or no you could do that. But if you don't mind reinstalling your Mac computer, why not try it out and let me know if it does work? I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that. Thanks for your questions. Okay, if we continue on with the questions that we have. You have Sylvia that asked a few questions about her son's computer. She says that her son has a Sony Vaio computer. Computer shuts down in the middle of nowhere. Whatever he's doing, it can take anywhere from 10-15 minutes to sometimes several hours. When it shuts down, it doesn't want to restart immediately. We have to give it 10-15 minutes, and then it will. What do you think is happening? It's overeating. That really looks like overeating. Basically, make sure that he doesn't use a computer on a surface like a mattress, a bed, on a sofa, because the wobbly surface underneath will block the airflow. What happens? The inside comes too hot. Today's computers have a temperature alert. When it comes too hot, the CPU tells the system, shut down, it's way too hot, and that's to prevent the computer from burning up. So the fact that you say that after 10 to 15 minutes it starts again tends to tell me that you have a computer that's heating up. Because if it's overheated, if you press the power button once it's shut down, it won't start because the computer will say, hey, no, it's too hot. I'm not continuing. So it gives it a break until the temperature comes down to a certain level. Two things: make sure that, like I said, you don't use your computer on anything else except a very hard surface so that there's a space underneath. My laptop I'm using here to do this show, it tends to overheat on live shows. So what I do is I've actually leveled it up so that there's at least this thick space underneath so that the air flows correctly while I'm doing the live shows, and it's okay. You can buy a $20 plaque that has little fans. It's a laptop cooler. They sell for like 15, 20, 25 bucks. They typically plug into the USB port of your computer and put the laptop on that. It might stop it from having that type of problem. And last but not least, if you've been having that computer for a while, it might need to be cleaned up. Maybe the fans have too much dust and the ports around it where the air flows, maybe it's covered in dust. And that's something as a tech guy that I see all the time. So I think that's mostly the problem. You also say that he has a desktop computer, and computer works fine when he's doing regular things like going on the internet, going through, doing homework, sorry. But it does very weird things on the screen 30 minutes to an hour when he starts playing games. What is happening? We have to shut it down and restart and everything's fine, but it only happens when when he's playing games. Graphics adapter, different issues with the graphics adapter. I think that's it, because if you say he goes on the internet, it never happens. It's always off. It's always fine. I would say either the graphics adapter is heating up. That's a possibility. That would make it have weird artifacts on the screen. It might make the computer crash. It could be simply a driver issue. Driver issues sometimes don't appear when you're not playing games because it doesn't ask that much for the adapter itself on the screen. The problem is the gaming aspect of a computer takes a lot from your adapter. So if there's a driver problem, that's where it's going to show on games. Maybe you want to go to the website of the manufacturer of your computer and check out for updates on drivers. If it's a computer that was built for gaming, for example, you might want to know what type of adapter you got. You can right-click on Windows 10 on the bottom left, or if you're in Windows 7 or 8, because I don't have any info here, you want to go into the control panel, and in the control panel, you want to go into System, and there you want to go on the left side to Device Manager. And once you are here, you will have something called Display Adapters. Double-click and check out in the driver what it is exactly. You'll have the info. So I've got Intel HD graphics on my case. You might have a Radeon something or a NVIDIA something. Take note of the number, take note of the date and driver version, and go to the websites to find what update in driver there is. That's something that you can do. You can check it out at by a tech guy if you're not sure what to do. And finally, a question from Eric that says, hi, I've got a AMD Radeon graphics card. It has a fan on it that stopped working, but yet I don't see any issues on my computer. Is it better to get it fixed? What should I do? Eric, if the fan on your graphics adapter has stopped working, of course, the best thing would be to have it replaced because the graphics adapter might become too hot and fail. That's it. I've seen so many computers in the past 20 years that have graphics adapter fans that just aren't working and nothing happens because you're probably not a game player. If you are not using your computer for games, it might actually be okay like that. Most of the times when graphics adapters have fans is because they are graphics adapters that are made for gaming very, very often. So in the gaming part, it's important. If you play a game, probably your graphics adapter will crash after a very, very small amount of time. But, you know, if it doesn't do anything and you just noticed it, maybe it's not that bad of a problem either. But it would be cautious to either change that or, you know, you can get a cheap replacement graphics adapter if you don't play games. That's going to work fine. Some don't have any fans, by the way. Other random questions. Other random questions coming to us from Joey. Joey, that is in Tennessee, in the United States. Says, love your show. I've started only watching your show last week. Very, very interesting. I love it. And it's cool to have somebody to help us. Now, questions that you've got are, I've heard that Google keeps information on me when I do searches. What does Google keep on me exactly in those searches? Everything. Google will keep about 6 months of information on you. Even if you don't have a Google account, it will tie the IP address to the search. And it, of course, leaves cookies behind on your browser. So basically, Google knows what you are searching for in the past 6 months. They know a lot about us. And the main reason for Google to do that is mostly to serve ads. So if you go on the Google search page and you look for a new computer, don't be surprised that you go to Facebook and suddenly find that you've got some ads for new PCs, because all of that is tied together. And it's a way to send you ads that might be more interesting to you than pretty much any type of ads. So 6 months is the average, basically. If you have a Google account, you can actually go see what it keeps, and you can even clean it up and clear it if you want. They do give the possibility, but you need to have a Gmail account. Any search engines that keep our privacy? Are there any search engines that I could use that do not keep information on what I do? Yeah, and it's called DuckDuckGo. It's actually a search engine for that. So DuckDuckGo is at, where is it? It's at duckduckgo.com simply. It looks like this. That's a search engine. And this search engine is here and exists for the sole purpose of not keeping any details about your searches. I've not used DuckDuckGo, honestly, so I don't know how good results are, but it does not keep any tracking of what you do. So that's why it's there. And it actually is available both on Android and on iOS as default searches. So if you don't want to be tracked, check it out. So here it says, I think it just said here at the bottom, it says it's a search engine that doesn't track you. So pretty interesting for that. Other question you got, what is the darknet? How do I access the darknet? The darknet is a part of the internet that is encrypted. It's called the darknet because a lot of bad guys use that side of the internet. Because it's encrypted, nobody knows what you're doing when you are on that side. How do you access the darknet? You download a browser called Tor, Thor. So let's go here. Tor browser. If we look it up, so here's the Tor, T-O-R, sorry, I put it H where there's no H. So here's where you get it, torproject.org. This is what they call the onion router. Basically, you download this browser, and this browser connects in a different way than the regular browsers in your computer. The Tor browser, everything you do in there is encrypted, and it uses different paths. So when you connect, for example, to Facebook, because Facebook does have a darknet side to it, which ends at facebook.onion, it's called the onion router. It means that what you're doing with Facebook is encrypted. Nobody can see what you're doing at all. So it's there because it also uses different paths. So for example, when you connect to Facebook, you're not connecting directly. You're connecting indirectly through different paths before it reaches that area. So this is how you connect Tor. I got it on one of my computers just by curiosity. So you can try it out and use Tor browser to access the web. And your last question is, you've been following my news bulletins, and you're wondering what I think about how the NSA is spying on us for purposes of national security. That's a complex issue, and every time I talk about this, I get almost a debate on the channel because of different ways of thinking of everybody. My take on this is that yes, I understand we need security. I understand we need to be careful because there's a lot of bad guys on there, and there's a lot of security issues with the different terror groups and ISIS and everything. Now, what I don't like about the spying of the NSA is that it's spying for spying. I mean, there's disregard for privacy. It's let's look at what everybody's doing and try to catch the bad guys through that. That's where I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right because it will not prevent anything. And not only doesn't prevent anything, but it just, means that nothing that we say we do is private anymore. And that is a big issue because when something happens, privacy is important. So I think the NSA is going too far in respect to a lot of things. And pretty much anybody should be, able to go on the internet without having somebody spy on you. But that will not change. The NSA is like that, and it's simply the way it works. So we've gone through all the questions from here. Let's check it out. There's a few questions that arrived while I was doing the show. So here we have Mary Ellen Parker says, "Hi, Gilles. So glad your show is back. I missed it so much. I was on vacation last week, but I am with you now for the long haul. Good to see your face in the place as I was getting caught up on last week's show. Gilles, could you explain a little more what it means for us Windows 10 users of Chrome and Google with Google's announcement that they will be removing support for its web apps from its Chrome browser on Windows? What exactly does this mean? How will we be affected if we have the Chrome browser installed on our Windows PC? I'm a little concerned as I have YouTube, Gmail, and Google Photos that I use daily, and I surely don't want to lose them. This has me confused and concerned, especially since I have so much of this stuff tied into and between my laptop and my Galaxy S7 Edge phone. Thanks so much for your help and expertise, and I'm glad to have you and your show back." Thanks, Mary Ellen. That's nice. Okay, here's the thing. As I was saying, Google has removed not removed, but is about to retire the Google Apps. Now, Google Apps are specific apps that run into the browser to give you certain capabilities, and there are different apps. They have now, I've got only this, but they used to have tons of different apps that do different things. So basically, a lot of these apps were little programs that ran within the browser. It's not gonna mean that you can't do anything anymore. It's just that some of these will be gone. So instead of going, for example, on your photos, if you were using a Google app, you'll just be using the Photos section of Google through your browser directly. It's just that anybody that would be using an add-on or a program specifically made for something that was offered through here, it's just not going to be supported anymore. So these are going to be gone. But your web browser is still going to work as usual. Your web browser will do the same. Some of the things that you'll have, they're still going to be there, but through the web directly. Photos, your Google Photos are going to work, including on your Galaxy phone. And by the way, some of these things are not being removed from everywhere. They're removed from the Google Chrome browser possibilities. It's just that you'll go through Photos in the web browser directly, and you'll still have the apps in your Galaxy S7, for example. That will still be there. It doesn't affect the apps that are for phones like Android or iOS. So these apps are still there. These apps will still continue being upgraded. It's just through the Google browser itself. And the reason they do that is nobody used them. Almost nobody used these apps. So, you'll be using YouTube through the browser. You'll be using Google Photos through the browser, Gmail through the browser. It won't change anything. Probably for most people, it won't change anything, I would say. So thanks for being here. Nice to have you on board. Tim Robinson says, hey, Gilles, I was just wondering, does YouTube, essentially Google, know that I will always watch and click your ads and refuse you the revenue for my ad watching and clicking on the ad link? Perhaps, as I always do, this might they reduce the revenue. Just curious. Many thanks. Yay, just got back. Nice to have you. Yes, Google knows everything. For example, I'm not allowed to click on my own ads because that is unfair and I am not doing correctly. And of course, I don't click never on my ads. I never watch my ads. And Google knows. If I would click on my ads, AdSense would stop monetization. Anyone that clicks on the ads on my channel because they just want to click on the ads because they want to for me to have the revenue, it's something that first you shouldn't do, and second of all, I'm not going to get the revenue, because what they do at the end, and actually in my statistics, when I go to my Google AdSense and look at the different statistics, I see the amounts that were given, and then I see the adjustments. So basically, anyone that clicks on ads every day, Google knows it can't be true. Nobody wants to watch ads all the time. So what they will do is say, okay, that's always from the same IP address. If 10 ads gave me $6 in revenue, we'll take out the $6 when they process. So every day there's a process of this. Every day I see that they readjust. So for example, in my case, I've noticed that every month about something like 6 or 7% of all the revenue is removed. So every month I get anywhere from 6, I've seen as high as 15% sometimes. That is removed from the revenue. And then they say, okay, here's what we're going to give you. And the reason they do that is fairness. They don't want to charge a company for an ad that they know is just not going to pay up. It's just not something that somebody will buy. They want to be fair. They want that the ads that they will be charging the companies are official. Okay, well, that person watched an ad or clicked on an ad, and he never does it usually. So it means it might have been interested in that product, and that will go through. But anyone that just clicks the ads or watches all the ads all the time, they will remove the revenue. They will remove, even, I would say, if too many people do that, they even could have suspicious thoughts that maybe something is wrong. Maybe that person is telling everybody to do so. Although they have some really, really good way of, counteracting. That used to be a problem, by the way, in the past, but it's not anymore, where bad guys would try to take off monetization by clicking ads, which doesn't work anymore because it was more of a nuisance or anything. But if you watch all the ads, I will not get the revenue. They remove it from the total at the end. So there's always a percentage of revenue that's removed. That's the way it works, and it's okay. It's in all fairness to make sure that companies don't, don't pay for ads that were not useful. So nobody click on the ads just because they want to click on the ads. If you watch an ad or you click on an ad, it's because it was interesting to you for that product. Not you never click on the ads just to click on the ads. It will not serve me anything. It will not give me anything. Anything more. So it's useless to do so. Another one that came up here from Douglas Elliott. Problem upgrading an HP Windows tablet. Hi, Jill. I have been given an HP ElitePad 1000 G2, 64 gigabytes of disk storage. It has already been updated to Windows 8.1 to 10, but I'm having problems updating it to the August 2nd update. Windows is asking for 20 gigabytes of free space, but I have only 8.5 gigabytes on drive C, even after deleting some unwanted programs. There is, however, sufficient space on the recovery drive. Could I use a USB stick to upgrade the tablet, or would I have to adjust the partition sizes to give more space on C first? First of all, if it's asking 20 gigabytes, it's asking a lot. So you're probably trying to keep stuff that you should not. Probably. I think you should. What I would tell you to do is use a USB thumb drive, upgrade from there. But in the options, choose remove everything. Make sure that you remove everything. Because the typical install with no extra apps or files is around, I think it asks for like 5 gigabytes of space. So you already have enough. And even if the update that you're going through, try to see if you can upgrade by removing everything. But I think you'll have to do it through the USB thumb drive maybe. Upgrade with a USB stick. And make sure that you remove everything. Even better, if you can boot from the USB stick, go into the partitions manager when you start installing. I would remove all the partitions and then recreate one big partition to have the maximum amount of space available for that 64 gigabytes. And that will prevent future problems and updates. And from there, you format and you continue installing Windows 10 on it. But you'll definitely need to use a USB thumb drive to do so. I've got one that's a 16 gigabyte tablet. It didn't have enough space. I used a USB thumb drive and clean installed from there. It was the only way I could get anniversary update on that tablet. So good luck, Douglas. Thanks for the question. Let me know how it goes. I want to know how it goes. Thanks, Tim. Also, Tim Robinson been sending me some suggestions for Learn the Tech show. So thanks for that. So hey, it's over. Now in 90 minutes, 90 minutes, an hour and a half, Learn the Tech. Tonight, we'll have a very quick look at the history of Microsoft Corporation, where it comes from and where it's going. You know what? One of the funny things about that is I had a lot of problems keeping it down. I noticed how it's very complex, what's happening with Microsoft, and there's so many things to talk about. But hey, I think it's going to be a cool show. So at 6 p.m. Eastern Time today, 2200 hours Universal Time, Learn the Tech. We talk about the history of Microsoft Corporation. It's over. Remember, if you have questions during the week that you want me to answer, helpwithyourcomputers@gmail.com. That's where you send the questions. I'll be answering them next week. Anytime you can send a question. This was Tech Show number 41 for August 23rd, 2016. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. See you next week, 3 p.m. Eastern, 1900 UTC, for another live tech show where I answer your questions. So keep sending the questions. We need some. Bye-bye, everyone.